G'day there guys, Connie here again, and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Okie dokie folks, we're starting off on relationship advice. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, My daughter just moved back in after an abusive relationship, and she's been wanting to be uncomfortably close to me. So, I'll try and keep this brief. My daughter met a man I didn't really care for 3 years ago, right about when COVID was starting. He wanted her to move in with him quickly, and I could tell he was love-bombing her. I was worried about how fast things were moving between them. She called me up after she moved in, saying that she had to respect her relationship and that she needed to cut out anyone who wasn't supportive. I told her I didn't like where this was headed. The love-bombing, moving in so quickly, now being isolated from her family. I told her these were warning signs, but she told me she was in love, etc. I told her if this was her choice, then so be it, but I would always love her, my door would always be open, and if she ever needed anything or needed help, I'd be there for her. I didn't hear from her again for a couple of years. Well, I got a call from her a few weeks ago. She was crying. She said I was right about him all along. Things had gotten progressively worse, and now he had hit her for the first time, and that was her boundary. She asked me if my offer to help her was still on the table. I told her of course it was. I love her and would do anything for her, so as soon as we got the chance, I went over there, helped her pack up while he was gone, and moved her back into my house. You guys, I wanted to cry when I first heard her on the phone. She sounded so desperate. It was even worse when I saw her. She was emaciated, she had bruises, she was a shell of her former self. It breaks my heart to see how badly beaten down she's been. So here's where things started to get, well, awkward. About a week ago, she came into my bedroom at night in her pajamas and said she'd been having trouble sleeping. She wanted to sleep in my bed, with me, which I thought was odd. I said it was a bit odd, but she begged me and said it would make her feel safe. She used to sleep in our bed when her mother was still alive, and she was a little girl and had bad dreams, but that ended a long time ago. I figured whatever she'd been through was enough though, and I wasn't about to interrogate her or make her feel ashamed. I wanted her to feel safe, and so I agreed. She cuddled up with me, and we slept. This has now become a habit with her. She's not slept in her own bed since, and is asking me to cuddle with her or spoon her while she's sleeping in my bed with me. I really don't know what to make of this. She says it makes her feel safe. I'm not sure this is appropriate though, but at the same time, she's been through enough already, and I want her to feel safe and secure. Is this something you think she'll move past once she recovers a bit? Should I tell her I think it's inappropriate? Edit, we have a therapist appointment booked. I figured she was going to need one, but the therapist we found didn't have an immediate opening. I've heard from so many women who have been through similar ordeals, but didn't have supportive parents to help them. I just want to say to you all, I'm sorry that happened. None of it was your fault. You didn't deserve it. What you did deserve was to have your dad in your corner, willing to tap into the match for you. It breaks my heart so many of you didn't have that. And another edit. I probably should have included this in the original post. I asked her about filing a police report when I first picked her up. She didn't think she could handle talking to the police. I took her to a walk-in clinic since she had bruising on her face, and she was thin. I wanted to make sure she had no head trauma, and to see if she would need to be admitted to the hospital to get her back up to weight. She wasn't underweight enough to require hospitalization. She didn't want to be checked into a hospital, she just wanted to go home. Doc gave me some advice on safely getting her weight back up, and we did take pictures of the bruising on her face and neck and get a medical report that documents it. Yeah, all good things to do, but as far as the situation, I don't feel like there's anything untoward here. I feel like this is just probably a result of the trauma that she's been through, which is so heartbreaking. That being said, it's probably not a habit you want turning into a long-term thing. One thing's for sure, she needs help, ASAP. Let's go to the comments. It sounds like she is very broken and reverting to childhood comforting. She needs a therapist to help her. She was severely abused for 3 years, and it's not going to be undone in 2 weeks or even 2 months. She needs professional help. If the cuddling makes you uncomfortable, for sure, talk to her, gently. She is just seeking comfort and is still scared he's going to come for her. She knows Dad will protect her. Opie says, I will protect her. I told her from the get-go she could always come to me. I'll always be on her side. We do have a therapist booked, but they didn't have an immediate opening. I'm glad she left the situation and is safe. Her coping mechanisms are what they are. They only make sense to her, but yes, it is crossing a line a bit. If you can, pick up a pregnancy body pillow shaped like a U and weighted blankets. This can help with anxiety by feeling snuggled and protected without an actual person present. Opie says weighted blanket and body pillow is a good idea. You are allowed to have boundaries. Your comfort matters too. Buy her a body pillow and some weighted blankets. She needs to be sleeping in her own room going forward. He replies, honestly right now my needs are secondary to hers, at least until she's in a better place. God bless you. You are a wonderful father, and I wish I had a father like you in my life. You are saving your daughter, and your wife from heaven above would be proud of you. You are the savior in your daughter's life. Whatever you are doing is helping her feel safe and will help her recover from such a traumatic experience. He replies, thank you. I love my daughter unconditionally. I will always have her back. I will always pull her up when she falls down. I hope my wife is proud. My wife fought so hard to stay alive and stay with us. I know she would have fought just as hard for our daughter now as she did to stay with us. I wish everybody could read this post. This is how you parent. However much we wish we could make choices and decisions for our children, and however old they are still our children, we have to step back and let them make their own mistakes. All we can do is be there for them when things go wrong. And Opie, you are doing that in spades. I applaud you. Opie replies, I just felt something was really off about him. My daughter just thought I was being that dad who never thinks anyone is ever good enough for his little girl. Next to her mum dying, letting her go was the hardest thing I've ever done. Those 2 years worrying about her were murder. I knew things weren't going great because her best friend kept in touch with me and let me know how things were going before. She too was cut off. Wow, okay, on to an update 1.5 months later. Okay, so I got some great advice, and I figured I would give everyone an update and clarify a few things because it will come into play. I know I said this in the comments, but I'll reiterate here. When I picked her up, I saw that she was underweight and had bruises on her face and neck, clearly strangulation marks on her neck, and she'd been punched in the face. I immediately took her to a walk-in clinic. I wanted her checked for head trauma. I wanted to make sure she was okay, no broken bone or head trauma, etc. I wanted the doctor's advice on getting her back up to a healthy weight, which foods to eat, which to avoid, refeeding syndrome, etc. The doctor told me her BMI was 15. Not good, but not requiring immediate hospitalization or anything. That would be 12 and under. I also wanted all of her injuries documented. I also got pictures. The doctor gave me advice on how best to get her up to weight without her feeling sick. I asked my daughter if she wanted to file a police report and press charges. I wanted this. She did not. I didn't push it, but I kept the medical records from the doctor's visit. I got her home, and for the first week I was careful about what I was feeding her and how much, so we could get her healthy again without making her sick. I feel bad about it now because after I put my original post up, my daughter opened up to me about what he did and put her through. One of the things he would do is watch what she was eating and how much. He would constantly warn her about getting fat and not being attractive anymore. I now feel a bit bad because when she got home, I too was monitoring what she was eating at first. I know it's for different reasons, but it still makes me feel bad. Anyways, on to the update part of things. She did finally write down everything that he did to her. I took a copy of this and put it in with her medical files in case she ever decided to press charges later. I took her to a therapist appointment, and he recommended what many of you did, a specialist. He had the name of a domestic abuse specialist who was also a woman. We are keeping him on for me and as counselling for the two of us. I try to be a good father, but there were cracks in our relationship he was able to exploit to turn her against me. There were things I did wrong after my wife's death, and things we need to address, and also to just get help with helping her recover. She's now seeing a domestic abuse specialist. As for the sleep thing, well, I had a talk with her and the therapist about it, and we came up with a plan utilising many of the recommendations mentioned on the last thread, and we are all comfortable with the solution we've come up with. I don't want to get too much into what he did to her, that's her story to tell, but he did utilise sleep deprivation. She told me he would make these jokes about how easy it would be for him to kill her in her sleep. He would joke like this all the time and then laugh about it. She repeatedly asked him to stop, but he didn't. I only mention it because people mentioned he might have done things to make her scared to sleep, and well, that was one of them. I don't want to repeat the others, those are too personal. I took a leave of absence from work so I could be home with her. I prepared my weapons and got a ring cam to monitor the door. He did not give up on her easily. While she had blocked his number and social media profiles, he would repeatedly create false profiles or use burner phones to continue to harass her. At one point, I did take the phone from her when he'd called her and told him not to show up here or I would, well, you know. That was not enough. About 2 weeks after this post went up, he showed up. I saw him on the Ring cam I'd installed and called the police to have him removed. I told him from the door to leave, and if he walked inside, it would be the last thing he ever did. Instead, the police came and removed him, but they did little else but get rid of him. Without a protective order or my daughter filing domestic abuse charges, the most they could really do was tell him to get off my lawn, basically. This was the wake-up call my daughter needed, though. She decided to press charges after he showed up. I retained a lawyer to help us through this. I gave the lawyer the advice I'd accumulated, and he spoke to the DA and police and helped have the charges filed and the restraining order issued. Honestly, I'm not sure what went on there, but people, let me tell you, lawyers are your friend if you need to navigate anything in the legal system, even if you're not a defendant. So, that brings us to now. We're moving forward in the legal system now to press charges. We have a protective order. She's recovered, more or less physically, but emotionally it's going to be a while. I'm in therapy, she's in therapy, and we're in therapy together. Yes, lots of therapy. She is sleeping in her own bed when she feels up to it, but she still has nightmares and nights where she feels comforted to be close to me. We are comfortable with the arrangement we've made here and have drawn up a plan with her therapist to get her back into her own room and bed. I feel bad about the feeding. I'd monitored her food intake before I knew he'd been watching how she ate like that. I also feel like I failed to prepare her for someone like that. To everyone who responded to my first thread, thank you, to most of you. One comment says, something that helped me a lot is when I have night terrors, I take prazosin for my horrific nightmares. I still have them and some doozy ones sometimes, but it dulls it a lot. When these dreams happen, it's terrifying, and you wake up feeling like someone has a gun to your head. The adrenaline is insane. Help make a routine. Good sleep hygiene, take a warm shower before bed and have tea. Something that also helped is just waking up my partner and having a hug, but definitely talk to a doctor about sleep help. Opie says, we'll ask her doctor about this. Another comment says, I'm rooting for both of them to stay strong and stay gold. Unfortunately, a lot of victims of abusive relationships out there lack the support from their loved ones or proper support in general. I feel bad for all the victims out there to deal with abuse and terror. You leave the door wide open, you let them know you love them and will come get them. Abusers hate nothing more than a support system that will answer that 3 a.m. call. Yep, that's the worst thing abusers hate. Like I mentioned the other day on another post, my mother was abused by her first husband, and my grandmother, her mother, along with her first husband's mother, had that door open to help her get back on her feet once she escaped. Abusers expect their victims to have home lives that are such that they don't go back, and if they do, they want to plant that seed in their victim's head that if they did, they'll get hell for it, so they're better off with the abuser, even when most everyone would know they're not. He may not have been the perfect father, but he made sure she knew he would be there if she ever needed to get out, and he followed through on that. That is so much more than so many people in her situation get, and I'm so glad she had him, and I hope her ex rots for what he did to her. Getting out of DV brought me closer to my parents too. I really identify. An aside, but an important one in the DV world, private citizens do not press charges in the US with regard to criminal matters. This is why criminal cases are stylized as state v. person. Private citizens can file reports with the police or the DA's office, but the DA is the ultimate decider. This is important because you don't get to choose, and you should know that. You could want charges and nothing happen. It can also happen against your will. If the cops make it seem like you can, it's because they don't want you to make a report because they're lazy. They're always supposed to do that. There are mechanisms you can use to push the DA to press charges, but it's not your choice. I can't say that enough. There's no calling the police to get your partner off of you, but you don't want to press charges. This is not a thing. Yeah, the US is such an interesting legal system to wrap your head around. Like, I find the state and the federal jurisdictions vary so wildly. But anyway guys, that's it for that story. It's a sad reality that there are people out there like Opie's daughter's ex. But like the comments said, all you can do as a parent is be there for your child when they need you the most. As always folks, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. Either way, we're going to move on. Alrighty, now we're on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Grand Thief Bluebird, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for not giving my money to help out my sister? Alright, this might sound like a horrible thing from the title, but please hear me out. This is a hard topic for me, and English isn't my native language, so I apologise in advance. I'm an 18-year-old man, and my sister is 22. Ever since we were young, she was always the priority for my parents. Don't get me wrong, they never treated me badly, but she was obviously the one they put more effort in. She would get better clothes, a better room, an allowance, and other things. While I was never treated badly, things weren't as good for me. I was never given any pocket money by my parents. Thus, I started work really early at 14, as I've learned a few skills in programming and had a good portfolio by then on GitHub, so it was easier for me to get freelancing jobs. In my country, there's some banks that allow people underage to open accounts, but they're still under supervision of their parents. Since I started to work, I became somewhat of an introvert, but that's not the point. Most of my adolescence I spent working on projects. Everything I got I used to help out with bills at my house, and saved the rest on my account. The reason I did that was because it was my dream to go to a specific university. It's my dream school, as they have an extremely respected course in programming, and while college itself is free in my country, living isn't, and that school is in one of the most expensive cities in my country. Now I'm finally 18 and we're in the middle of the entrance exams. I already passed it in the first test with flying marks, and I believe the next one shouldn't be a problem as well. However, since I turned 18, I'm no longer suitable for the same kind of bank account I had, which is only for underage, and needed to change. My mother and I went to the bank to change the account, and during that time, she saw the amount I had saved. I won't put numbers, but it's enough for me to live without working for the duration of the course, though it would be a frugal life. That day during dinner, she and my father started to talk about what I want to do in the future, and I explained to them. However, after a few moments, they stopped me in my tracks. They said that while it was all good that I had an objective, right now my sister was in financial trouble, as she just had her second kid, and her husband and her could really use some help. My mother asked me to give my sister my savings, and I was really shocked. I told her how much I worked for that, and that it was my money, and I didn't want to give it to my sister, as that meant not going to my dream college, since my parents couldn't support me living there. My father said, "Well, you're still young, and you can always earn more money. Your sister needs it." We argued more and I went to my room. However, I'm being constantly harassed and called an a-hole by my family. There's so much of this that I can't help but feel like I'm a horrible person. So, am I the a-hole? No way, no one should be able to take that money from OP, not even his family. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. Call your bank and make them aware of this and warn them of this. Make sure your account is in your name only and no one else can withdraw money. All the best to you. Not the a-hole. If your sister is old enough to have 2 children and a husband, she's old enough to get her finances in line. Not to mention, it's your money. You earned it, and nobody should be forcing you to do anything you don't want to do with it. The fact that they had one look at your bank account and said, this should all go to our daughter, really does not sit right with me. Opie comments when asked what bills he helps pay. I've helped with electricity, water, rent and utilities, groceries. It wasn't a huge amount. I usually gave them 40% of what I made during the month. I just worked a lot. Not a huge amount, but 40% going to groceries and stuff? Okay, let's go to an update. First of all, I want to thank everyone who sent amazing ideas and good vibes. I can't really express how much I appreciate all of that. A few people have commented and sent me messages asking for an update. I apologize for the delay, but a lot of things happened. First, thank you all who told me to change accounts and banks. While that account was already under my name alone, I took the extra step of changing banks. Now, about the whole problem with my family. After I read the replies on the post, I knew I wasn't in the wrong and decided to confront my parents on that. I told them I was not going to give up my dream, especially since I worked so hard to achieve it. That escalated our conflict, especially after they found out I changed banks, and it all culminated with my parents kicking me out of their house. I expected them to be angry, but I never expected that overreaction. Regardless, I can't really cry over spilt milk. I managed to find a friend who allowed me to stay at his house for a few days, and that's the reason I haven't updated this sooner. I stayed for a few days and decided it was time for me to move to the city in which I hope to attend college. Now, I found an apartment and I already moved cities. I'll need to find work for now, as currently I don't have a roommate, as I was hoping to find one once college started. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing right now, but that's something I'll have to learn. I changed all of my documents, and especially at the place I'll be taking the second stage of the entrance exam, so all I can do now is wait and see what the future has in store for me. For those who asked about my sister, I contacted her after I was kicked out and explained to her the situation. She was mortified and told me that she never once asked our parents to help for money. She said she was indeed tight on money, but nothing she and her husband couldn't handle, and she would never accept my money. Just to make sure, I have absolutely no resentment of my sister. While we did grow apart once she got married, she still is my sister. I believe she didn't really have anything to do with my parents' behaviour, and I'm very thankful for that. I absolutely adore my niece, and I'm looking forward to meeting my nephew one of these days. Anyway, my parents still very much think I'm the a-hole and an ungrateful child, still sending messages and stuff like that. I'm just ignoring it for now, but I can't say it doesn't hurt to see my own parents say stuff like that. Well anyway, I just want to thank you all once more for everything. Stay safe, everyone. One comment says, "Can you please make another update whether or not you're going to the college and how you're doing now?" And 3 months later, Opie replies, "Hey there, thank you for remembering me. I don't really think I'll make a full update, but I can tell you at least. It's been well. It's hard living in a new city, but I've finished my entrance exams and was accepted into college. I started my course not too long after this update was made in March, and I'm well in the middle of the semester. I'm loving it, and I'm doing the best I can. I haven't had contact with my parents since I left, but I occasionally talk to my sister through video calls. Once more, thank you for remembering me." Oh, what a great update for OP. You'll love to hear it. It's just crazy that the parents lost their son over support for the golden child who didn't even want the support. Like, what's the point? Anyway, guys, that's it for that story, and that's it from me today. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.